And welcome to the Retro Hunting Adventures. This is your host, Mr. MegaManFan, and as you can see, I've just spent some time reorganizing my collection, put a few new things out for display, put a few new things in different places, and also organized some of my storage for various accessories and games. So, pretty happy with the progress that I've made so far, but for now, let's get into the hunt and show you the stuff that I just picked up. This is the Retro Hunting Adventures. I am Mr. MegaManFan, and here is my good friend Megaran.
Yo, this is Megaran, and you need to rock and or roll on over to Mr. MegaManFan's YouTube channel, because it's all that rush to make it happen. Peace!
Let's start the hunt off this week with something that I just got in the mail, and let's slit it open with a nice pair of scissors here and pull out the inside. I admit this was inspired by a Nintendo video because he showed off a complete NES Classic collection for Game Boy, and while I was watching it, I realized that Pac-Man was the one and only NES Classic that I didn't have complete in the box. So I found a seller for it on eBay, and they even threw it into a nice protective sleeve before they shipped it, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you. Skipping ahead now to actually taking it out of the box. Got to maneuver these little flaps here so nothing gets crunched when I pull out the tray. And as you can see here, the NES game is where it belongs, or NES Classic I should say, in that tray. Always nice when you buy a Game Boy Advance game and it actually has the tray. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't have the little plastic bag that the game comes in either. So, yeah, that's a 2-for-1 win in my view. That's even more complete than complete. Especially when you get stuff like the ads and inserts that originally came in the box when the game was released. But, most importantly, I need that instruction manual. That's not it. That's the Game Boy Player advertisement. As you can see, mine is already set up over there on the GameCube with the Eon HD adapter running from the back. And there it is, the Pac-Man instruction manual. That means there's only one thing left to do at this point, and that's to test the game. And Sonic the Hedgehog will keep a watchful eye on the proceedings here, even though he and Pac-Man would be rivals in Smash, as would Mega Man of course, but he'll watch as I wait for the logo to pop up on the screen, and I consider that a successful test. So now we will move on to a game I picked up at GameStop for $5. I got the member's price and I had a $5 coupon. So here is the Wonderful 101 for the Wii U, and since I have the Wii U and the GameCube Eon adapter hooked up in the same room to the same TV, I can test both out at the same time. That is very handy. And this one is complete. I made sure to check the condition in the store before I bought it. This is one of those Wii U games that has a manual that says, here's how you access the digital manual for the Wonderful 101. So they didn't really put a full manual in there per se. I also picked up USA Today Crossword. This one I'm not even going to bother to show you. Just take my word for it that it works. It's a $2 game. I kind of don't think it's worth wasting the time on that one. Here's one I will test once I go back down to the rec room though. Burst Trick. It's a sports game. Yay. But what the heck. Might be some fun to be had in that one. So I'll go downstairs and test that on my PlayStation 2 in just a little bit. But let me show you the rest of this haul that I got from Trade Post. The Wonderful 101 came from the GameStop store that I frequent at the mall, but the rest of these are all from CD Trade Post, and they were having 10% off. This one is Hard Rock Casino for the PlayStation Portable, and I had a little trouble getting the case open there while I was holding the camera with the other hand, but eventually I made it work. So there you see Hard Rock Casino, which was a game I didn't have in my PSP collection, and since it was cheap, I kind of figured, why not? NFL Blitz Pro. This was slightly too expensive before the 10% off, but add the 10% and it was just in line with what price charting says for the game. So I was happy to pick it up because it is in fact complete. The instruction manual is hiding behind the other GameCube manual for the instructions and warranty, but I wanted to show you that it was there. And you might hear my cat meowing at me in the background as I record the voiceover here. He's probably hungry. And let's show you one more game that I picked up from Trade Post, and that would be NHL 2006, or NHL 06 as it's labeled on this box. That should make my friend Peter H, the hardcore Canadian, very happy. The fact that I picked up a new hockey game for the Nintendo GameCube. Actually, I think he'd be happy if I picked up any hockey game whatsoever. But now, let's get down to testing the wonderful 101. Speaking of Tango, there he is.
Just 100 souls. 100 wonderful defenders of our world. Their faces are forever masked. Their tombs are forever unknown.
They are going to be cut out because I have more games to test, so I can't sit there and watch a whole cinematic introduction. We have to move on to NFL Blitz Pro and make sure this is a working GameCube game. As you can see, I'm back in the rec room now. Added a couple of things to my half Mega Man and half Metroid shrine down here. I added Metroid Prime 3 and the Metroid Prime trilogy in the limited release deluxe edition. But it looks to me like this is a working game. And since I don't have a GameCube controller or a Wavebird hooked up to the top of my Wii right now, I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on to the next game, which was NHL 06, 06, 2006, whatever you want to call it. At least it wasn't NHL 2K6. That got old in a hurry. Everybody kept using 2K for years and years after the year 2000 had come and gone. So we get the Wii restarted here. Health and safety warning, and now it's time for some good old hockey action. Peter approved. Peter H, the hardcore Canadian, at Hardcore CDN on Twitter. He also co-hosts Glove Up or Shut Up with me every Wednesday. If you look on iTunes, keyword Angry Marks, you can check out the latest edition of Glove Up or Shut Up there. GameCube channel is working, so I assume that means the game is working. Let's just give it a quick spin, make sure that it boots up properly, and it would appear we have a working game. So now I move on to the PlayStation 1 game, that burst trick game that I picked up for just a few bucks at Trade Post. And let's take a look at the disc. It appears to be good, except for one hair. I don't know how the hair got in there. Perhaps Tango, since cats do like to shed hair. So, got it off of there. And now I think we're ready to pop it into the PlayStation 2 as my amiibo army watches over the console. Let's see if this one boots up properly. And we have another tested and working game on the Retro Hunting Adventure. Come on. Show me the PlayStation logo. There it is. That familiar, friendly jingle. The one that Kadikarus simply goes gaga for every time he hears it. And there's a logo for the game. I consider that promising. Let's see if we get the actual manufacturers. Metro. And Natsume. Serious fun. so serious they trademarked the phrase. And Infinity Effect Rare. And finally, yes, I believe Burst Trick is indeed a working game. Let's move on to the PlayStation Portable then. This is the aforementioned Hard Rock Casino, which was a relatively cheap score for a PSP game that I didn't previously have. Some of those PSP games can get a little expensive, especially if they're RPGs, Persona type games, JRPGs. You know what I'm talking about. So let's fire up the PlayStation Portable, which I had charging before I started filming this video. So it should hopefully have enough battery life to do a quick test and make sure this is a working game. Once we get past setting the date and time, which, ironically enough, will tell you exactly what day this episode of the Retro Hunting Adventures was released. It will be forever tied to this date and time when I finalized all the different components of this video by testing all of the games that I picked up over the last week of retro hunting. So, date and time set. Now we can scroll over and check on the battery life, make sure that it is well stocked and that I'm able to test a game without worrying about the battery dying. Oops, not that menu. There's the battery information. 67%. I think that's enough. That should get us where we want to go. Still charging, so I'll leave it plugged in. And let's pop the top on this bad boy. Ka-ching! And then we can pop in the game. Some casino action. I've actually been to a few different Hard Rock casinos. I've been to one in Orlando. I've been to one in Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood. Where else have I been to one? I think I went to one in Detroit as well. Anyway, let's see if this is a working game. The first time I ever heard Avenged Sevenfold was actually at a Hard Rock hotel and casino. I was eating dinner there with my wife, and they played the video for Backcountry, and I started marking out because I could tell it was based on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is one of my all-time favorite books and movies. But I do believe we have a working PSP game here. So it's time to bring this video to a close by saying this has been the Retro Hunting Adventures. I've been your host, Mr. MegaManFan. As always, I thank you for watching. New episodes every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. See you next week. Bye for now.